You know that mental image we all have, the perfect cycling trip? It's almost a cliche at this point.
Oh, yeah.
You're picturing sunny skies, maybe a gentle coastal breeze, sipping a perfect espresso on some busy terrace while your bike just gleams in the sunlight.
It's the Instagram version of travel, isn't it? The dream we all buy into when we're scrolling. Smooth tarmac, perfect tans, and absolutely zero mechanical issues.
Exactly. But today, we are flipping that script entirely. We're going to look at the wet, the muddy, the gritty reality of riding Portugal's Atlantic coast in the dead of winter. We're doing a deep dive into a trip report called Fat Tires, Thin Plans, 6 days riding the Rota Vicentina in winter. It was written by a cyclist named John, published just recently,
Yeah.
February 2026.
And what I love about this source is that it isn't a brochure. It's a raw, honest account of what happens when you swap the summer crowds for actual storm fronts.
Right.
It's about the technical reality of winter touring, the brutal geography of the Rota Vicentina, and honestly, the weird psychological journey of traveling alone during the holidays.
Oh, the psychological side is huge here. We're talking about a story that goes from eating a pot noodle in a gas station bathroom to, well, a redemption arc involving a mystery girl and a wealthy Portuguese family.
It's quite the journey.
But we will get to that. First, let's talk about the mission. The author had this very specific philosophy for the trip. Fat is where it's at.
Fat is where it's at. It sounds like a marketing slogan, but from a technical standpoint, it is the crucial decision of the whole trip. He chose a Kona 29 MTB, a mountain bike, with big, fat tires.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second.
Okay.
If you're riding from Faro to Lisbon, that's a lot of distance on pavement.
Yeah.
Why bring a heavy mountain bike? Wouldn't like a gravel bike or a sturdy road bike be faster,
Yeah.
more efficient?
It's summer, absolutely. If it's dry, you take the lighter bike. But in February on the Atlantic coast, no way. The Rota Vicentina isn't just one thing, it's a mix. If you're short on time, you stick to the tarmac. If you have all the time in the world, you hike the trails. But if you want to do what the author calls the Caminho da Espuma,
The path of foam. I love that.
mixing it up, right. You need versatility. That means deep sand, boggy mud, and rocky single track. A thin tire road bike would just sink immediately.
Right.
You need the surface area of a mountain bike tire to float over that wet sand and the traction to get through the mud. It's about trading speed for the ability to actually keep moving.
That phrase, Caminho da Espuma, I thought that was such a funny detail. He wasn't just talking about sea foam, was he?
No, not at all. He was contrasting this trip with his youth. He remembers the Algarve as a series of foam parties in clubbing resorts like Albufeira and Lagos.
Oh, okay.
You know, noise, chaos, crowds, bad music. But riding it in winter, he describes the resorts as chlorinated and quiet.
That is such a visceral description. Chlorinated and quiet. It sounds almost, I don't know, post-apocalyptic, like the people vanish, but the pool guy is still showing up.
It sets the tone perfectly. The terraces are deserted, the gravel paths are empty. You get this immense solitude, which is beautiful, but it requires a complete shift in mindset. You're not there to party. You are there to survive the elements.
And speaking of surviving, let's talk about the struggle. Because day one did not go according to plan.
It rarely does when you're dealing with Atlantic storms.
He wakes up in Faro. He slides open the hotel patio doors, expecting maybe a gray drizzle. Instead, he sees palm trees bending at 45 degrees.
Wow.
Torrential rain. Fascists rattling in the wind.
This is the moment where decision-making usually falls apart. When the weather is that hostile, your brain enters a kind of flight response. You just want to get going and get it over with.
And that's what he did.
He admits he fell into the trap of the "that'll do" bike check.
The classic, that'll do. We've all been there. Hey, the tires look round, the bags are on, let's go.
Exactly. He skipped the thorough check of tire pressures and pannier ties because he didn't want to stand in the rain. And that's a massive mistake. When conditions are at their worst,
Right.
when the road is slippery and visibility is low, that is exactly when you need your gear to be perfect. A loose pannier can unbalance you in a crosswind.
Of course. And the physical toll sounds miserable right from the start.
Yeah.
He describes shivering in Carvoeiro. His gore-wear jacket held up, so, credit there. But his shorts were soaked, and his boots were literally filled with rainwater.
This leads to a ritual that every winter cyclist wears, but non-cyclists might find baffling. The hotel room Tetris.
I love this visual. He's in his hotel room, cranking the AC to maximum heat. He's balancing chairs on tables, creating these, like, architectural structures just to hang his wet gear in the warm airflow.
It's survival mode. You're not relaxing in the hotel. You are managing a humidity crisis. If those shorts and boots aren't dry by morning, the next day is going to be agony.
Yeah.
You're not looking for a night out. You're looking for a radiator. It's a very specific kind of logistical stress.
And it wasn't just the rain falling down, it was what was on the ground. There's this one section near Alvor, the River Torre single track. He thought it would be a shortcut.
A shortcut in summer, maybe? In winter, a riverbank trail becomes a bog.
He describes it as avoiding a comedy roll into the water. He's slipping, sliding, foot faulting everywhere. He says his boots ended up filled with clarts.
Clarts. That's a great Northern English term for just sticky, heavy mud. And that's the risk of the fat tire approach. Yes, the bike can handle it, but the rider still has to power through mud that just sucks the energy right out of your legs.
It's like a brake pad on your wheel.
It really is.
He did find a silver lining, though. He said his boots eventually dried out with new terracotta mud, so at least he got a color upgrade.
That's the spirit you need. If you can't laugh at the mud, you probably shouldn't be riding in February.
So we've established the weather is fighting him, the terrain is fighting him. But now we have to talk about the route itself, specifically the gravity. Because I think people have a misconception about coastal riding.
Right. People hear coastline and they think flat. They assume you're just cruising along a boardwalk with a nice view of the sea.
But the Rota Vicentina is definitely not that.
Not even close. This coast is defined by cliffs and ravines. Every time you go down to a beach, which is where the pretty views are, you have to climb right back up to the cliff top.
It's a sawtooth profile.
Up, down, exactly.
And these aren't gentle slopes. He details some absolute monsters. There's a climb out of Salema, a 16% gradient. For context, a standard highway overpass is usually capped at around, 5 or 6%?
Yeah, 16% is a wall. On a loaded touring bike with panniers, that is brutal. You're barely moving. You're fighting to keep the front wheel on the ground.
Yeah.
You're searching for gears you don't have.
Then on day 3, he hits another 16% climb after a farmstead. And this is where we get a peek into the cyclist's ego, which I found hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
He's struggling. He actually stops 100 meters from the top to eat half a packet of Mentos just to get some sugar in his system.
A very relatable tactical nutrition stop. Sometimes you just need that glucose spike to turn the pedals one more time.
But then, just as he gets back on the bike, a car comes around the corner, and the people inside start shouting, "Allez! Allez!"
No.
cheering him on like he's in the Tour de France.
And what does he do?
He pretends he's been cycling nonstop the whole way. He says to the listener, "Cheers, lads. Of course I've cycled all the way nonstop. Honest."
It's the performance of athleticism. You can't let the fans down, even if the fans are just random guys in a car and you're full of Mentos.
And there's another nasty one near Praia do Carvajal, a 17% gradient. But he mentions that despite the pain, the rewards are there.
Oh, for sure. You have the end of the world, the Cabo de San Vicente lighthouse. It's the southwesternmost point of continental Europe. Standing there, looking out at the vast Atlantic with nothing between you and America, it feels epic. It validates the struggle.
But it wasn't just the landmarks, was it? It was the wildlife. He talks about seeing ostriches near the beach.
Ostrich.
Ostriches near Praia do Carvajal.
In Portugal, that is unexpected. I assume escaped farm animals.
He doesn't clarify, but it just adds to the surreal nature of the trip.
It does, and that's the texture of slow travel. If you were just driving the N125 highway, you would never see ostriches on a beach track. You'd miss the smell of the pine forests. He talks about that contrast, using the highway to catch a tailwind versus the secluded coves like Zaviel and Ingrina.
That's the fat tire advantage again?
It's access.
Access to the places the cars can't go.
Oh.
Okay, so we've covered the gear and the grueling route. But for me, the most fascinating part of this deep dive isn't the cycling, it's the human story. Because this trip overlaps with New Year's Eve. And anyone who has traveled alone on New Year's knows it can go one of two ways.
It's a high-pressure holiday. The societal expectation is party, connection, kiss at midnight. But the reality of solo travel is often solitude and room service.
Well, the author gives us a flashback to the previous year's New Year's Eve, and honestly, it sounds like a tragedy written by a comedian. He was in Signs, he was staying at a hotel that basically kicked him out of the bar because he hadn't paid for the gala dinner.
Right. The one drink and leave policy.
Right.
Brutal. It makes you feel like a second-class citizen in your own hotel.
So where does he end up? He ends up at a Repsol petrol station.
The glamorous life of the international cyclist.
It gets worse.
Yeah.
He's eating a pot noodle, but he doesn't even have a fork. He's using a tiny plastic fork he found in a baby change facility.
Oh, that is a rock-bottom moment. Eating processed noodles with a baby fork in a gas station, that's the definition of bleak.
And he's watching Star Wars in Portuguese alone in his room. That was his New Year's Eve.
It really de-romanticizes the whole thing. But it sets up the redemption arc for this current trip perfectly. He was determined not to let that happen again.
So this year, he books the Hilton, he's doing it right, and he makes a very specific request. He asks for the Capone chair.
The Capone chair. I love this psychological insight.
Explain that to me. Why Capone?
Al Capone, the gangster, he always sat with his back to the wall, facing the door, so he could see everyone coming, but nobody could sneak up on him. The author wants a table on the edge of the room. He says it's so he can see everyone without being seen. He's afraid of, I think he says, eating an oyster wrong or being picked on by a hypnotist.
It's social anxiety mixed with a desire to observe. He wants to be around people, but safe in his bubble. But his plan to be invisible fails, doesn't it?
Completely. And this is the beauty of travel. He gets adopted. A local man named Luis and his family see this English guy sitting alone and say, no, come join us.
You are English, come and join us. You should not be alone.
That is the core takeaway for the learner profile here. Because he was forced out of his comfort zone. Maybe he used the wrong fork on the octopus. Maybe he looked lost. He ended up connecting. He spent the night laughing and drinking with a Portuguese family. That's the travel gold.
It really is. It validates that idea that solo travel makes you approachable.
Yeah.
If he was with a group of friends, that family never would have invited him over.
Exactly. Vulnerability creates connection.
But there is a twist, or maybe a missed connection. We have to talk about the mystery girl.
Yes. The rom-com subplot that never quite launched.
He spots a stunning woman at the bar. He says it was love at first sight. He spends the evening having this internal monologue. Is this it? Is this the movie moment?
And this is where the report is so refreshingly realistic. In a movie, he walks over, drops a charming line, and they ride off into the sunset. In reality,
It's shy.
he didn't say a word to her all night. The foam party confidence was gone. He's just a guy in cycling gear at a fancy party. He felt out of place.
But he does see her the next morning. He's checking out, hungover, probably smelling of sausage from the breakfast buffet. She walks by.
And he manages a Feliz Ano Novo.
Happy New Year, she smiles, walks away. End of scene.
And that's it. That's real travel. Sometimes a moment is just a moment. It doesn't have to turn into a marriage proposal to be memorable. It adds this sort of bittersweet texture to the trip.
Speaking of sausage, we have to talk about the final sprint to Lisbon on day 6. He says he was fueled by a sausage-maxed buffet breakfast.
The full English strategy applied to Portuguese continental breakfasts. It's heavy fuel for a heavy day.
And he achieved his highest average speed of the tour on this final day. Was it the sausages, or was he running away from the heartbreak?
Or maybe just the hangover. Sometimes you just need to sweat it out. But the logistics here were tricky. To get into Lisbon from the south without hitting the major highways, he had to navigate 2 ferries.
Right, the Troia to Setúbal ferry, and then the Montijo to Lisbon ferry. Why the double ferry?
This is a crucial tip for anyone looking to do this route. The main way into Lisbon from the south is the 25 de Abril bridge.
The big red one.
The big red one that looks like the Golden Gate. But you cannot ride a bike across it. It's illegal and it's dangerous, so you're stuck. The ferries are the workaround.
Okay, that makes sense.
Taking the Troia ferry gets you across the Sado estuary, and the Montijo ferry gets you across the Tagus River right into downtown Lisbon. It's a tactical finish.
He calls it no-frills cycling. Head down, bombing along the Troia Peninsula to catch that 1:00 p.m. boat.
And notice the shift in tone. The first few days were about survival and mud. The middle was about climbing and scenery. The end is about pure efficiency, getting the job done.
So let's unpack this whole deep dive. We've got 6 days, 17% climbs, ostriches, a petrol station reunion. He actually went back to the Repsol to return a bottle opener he borrowed the year before.
That's a great detail. Integrity. He cleared his karmic debt with the petrol station.
And a sprint finish to Lisbon. What's the big takeaway here? If our listener is sitting at their desk right now thinking about doing something like this, what should they learn from John's trip?
I think the key is in the title, Fat Tires. Thin plans. It's about adaptability. The reason he succeeded and enjoyed it wasn't because everything went perfect. It's because he had the equipment to handle the bad conditions.
So rule number 1, overbike rather than underbike in winter.
100%. And rule number 2 is the mindset. You have to embrace what we call Type 2 fun.
Type 2 fun. Break that down.
Type 1 fun is fun while you're doing it. Riding a roller coaster, eating ice cream. Type 2 fun is miserable while you're doing it.
Shivering in a hotel room?
Shivering in a hotel room, cleaning mud out of your cleats, climbing a 17% grade in the rain. But it becomes a great story the moment it's over.
Right.
Winter cycling is almost entirely Type 2 fun. You have to be willing to look at a rainstorm and say, okay, this is part of the adventure, rather than, this has ruined my holiday.
And also, the willingness to mix it up.
Yeah.
He wasn't a purist. He used the N125 highway when he needed speed, and the gravel when he wanted views.
Exactly. Pragmatism over purism. That's how you get from Faro to Lisbon in February without losing your mind.
The author ends the report on a bit of a cliffhanger. He's planning to go to Poland this summer, but he's already wondering about next winter. He asks himself if the mystery girl will be there again next year.
It's a nice hook. It shows he's already rewriting the memory. The rain is forgotten. Only the mystery remains.
It raises a provocative question for us and for you listening. When we go on these trips, especially these solo, slightly grueling adventures, are we really looking for new places, or are we looking for a redemption of our past selves? John went back to erase the memory of the pot noodle in the petrol station.
That's a profound thought. We often travel to rewrite our own narratives. The destination is just the stage. The plot is internal.
So if you're sitting there in a warm room right now, maybe consider this. What's your Type 2 fun adventure? Maybe it's time to book a trip in the off-season. Just maybe bring a spare heater for the hotel room.
And definitely bring the fat tires.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive into the Rota Vicentina. We'll see you on the next one. Safe riding.